This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com, and I'm also now working with Swe Fury, doing interviews for them, as many of you probably know. And this is the very first Inside Swe Fury podcast that is live on both the Swe Fury YouTube channels as well as the Hannibal TV YouTube channel. And we're going to have various guests from week to week. But the first week, it's just me and my co-host. He is one of the matchmakers of Swe Fury. He's a legendary referee, has refereed all over the place, Texas, Japan. He's even done some WWE events here and there. He's a Cauliflower Alley award-winning referee. James Beard, how are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing great. It's really exciting to be here with you and to partner with you on this effort. I tell you, I'm excited about some of the things we're doing with SWE and really happy to have people like yourself behind us and with us.
What I like about SWE and a lot of people involved with it is it's not like a lot of the other wrestling programs on television right now. It's really trying to go back to that old school, hard-hitting style, not as much comedy wrestling, not as much goofiness. Maybe you could start off by talking a little bit about what you're trying to present here with this product.
Well, you know, if you're going to start a wrestling product, you have a choice. You can either follow the crowd and be a cookie cutter like a lot of them do, or you can try to go your own way and try to be different. And our own way happens to be the way that I actually was brought up and into this business. And a lot of the people that I've been around seem to believe in, and that's a more, I guess, a more competitive style of wrestling with a lot less talk, a lot more action. We're not going to insult your intelligence on SWE Fury. You're going to see a lot of competition, a lot of fighting. You know, I mean, the guys are going to get in there, and the girls, we've got a lot of gals too, are going to get in there and get after it. You know, and the titles mean something, and the rules mean something. And as a former referee, that's where I come from. Teddy Long comes from the same background, and you know, we're determined that we're going to get back to making those things important in wrestling again, so that fans can trust what they're going to see, and they know that when they watch an SWE program, they can follow the rules. They know what the rules are supposed to be. They know when a guy's breaking the rules, you know, and it's not going to be something that's going to change from match to match or week to week. It's going to have some consistency, and I think that's important. I think there's a fan base out there that longs for that, and we're going to try to provide that.
Herb Simmons is watching. I know you probably know him from the Cauliflower Alley Club. He says to say hello. He's a promoter in St. Louis.
Yes. I got so many great friends from Cauliflower Alley. You know, it's something that I've been involved in, and my old buddy, old pal, Red Bastine was the president of that for a long time, and he's the one that really kind of got me involved back many years ago. And I was kind of away from it for a while, and I got back to it, and it's a great organization. It does a lot of good work for people and from the industry that are down on their luck or have medical issues and that sort of thing. So I want to definitely put my word out there for people to support Cauliflower Alley. It's a great organization.
And Chris Norman says, great show tonight. Throwback to 80s wrestling, and he really enjoyed your book. And he's referring to the SWE Fury TV show that just aired on the Hannibal TV tonight at 8. It aired last night on the SWE Fury YouTube channel, and it airs in about 33 million homes or so on TV. Could you talk a little bit about where we're at as far as what's going on in SWE Fury right now? I know you guys have changed production companies, I think, since the San Antonio taping.
Yes.
To the Greenville taping, which I think the next show starts in Greenville. But maybe you could talk about what's going on as far as matches that are coming up and what people can expect on the TV show?
Well, first of all, I appreciate that comment. That that's the kind of thing we're shooting for. That fans can watch it and recognize that there is a difference in what we're doing, and a difference in the style and the format, and we're going to be consistent with that. We're not going to back off of it. It takes patience. Sometimes it takes a while to build that fan base and have them understand what you're trying to do and what you're trying to achieve, we're going to have times when we have to make a few changes here and there about different things, and we did make a production change. We're trying to be have more control over what we're doing, what you're going to see, and how we're producing it, and it's getting better, and it's something it's a work in progress, and it's going to continue to be that way for a while. But we're not a company that's owned by a billionaire either, and we're trying to make our way in a frugal manner, but at the same time trying to make sure that the quality is there and that people can count on that. And as far as the talent and the angle of the things you're watching, the competition, you see the guys that have been from the beginning. Brent McKenzie, he's still trying to get that title. He actually got a title shot in San Antonio a couple of months ago, but it kind of turned into a little bit of I guess it got a little out of hand anyway. And Tim Storm is our champion. He's a former NWA champion, quality guy. There's no secret. He's one of my best friends in the business, and I think a lot of him. But he's hanging on to that title right now, but he's got guys like Brent McKenzie and Charlie Haas and Moonshine Mantell and Max Castellanos and Niles Plonk. There's a whole bunch of guys that are chasing him right now, and those are we're trying to make that important. When you have a title that's important, I think it creates interest in fans, and that alone is an important aspect of what we're trying to do with SWE. And there's other issues going on. Max Castellanos and Moonshine Mantell have been having absolute wars. It's just gotten crazy, and I don't see any end to it anytime soon. These two big guys that just like to fight, and they fought all over the place. And in San Antonio, they nearly tore the house down. And then at our last TV taping, everything was destroyed, even monitors. It was some crazy stuff going on, and it's just it's exciting to see guys compete like that. We want to try to keep as much of it in the ring as we can, but it's when the competitive spirit comes out in these guys and it gets out of hand. That's just part of the way it goes, and I think fans enjoy that because it's real. They love to see that, and you're going to see a lot more of that with SWE, and we're also very involved with pushing the women's division, which is, the last few years, women have really stepped up. They really become an important part of the wrestling world, and we see that, and we recognize that they compete just like the men do. They're tough. These gals are trained, highly trained. They're not models. They're out there fighting, and Christy James right now is our women's champion, and she's a gal from Brazil who's got some MMA type training, and she's just a tough gal, and nice to look at too. So it's a little bit of the best of both worlds, and we're very we're very excited about working with the ladies, and we've even partnered with Mission Pro, which is Thunder Rosa's group, and there are a lot of good things are happening with SWE right now that I think fans can buy into and trust, and that's the main thing. They can trust what we're doing.
There's a fan on here, Mike Payne, that wants to know any chance of seeing Carrie Von Erich's daughter, Lacey Von Erich, and Terry Gordy's daughter, Miranda Gordy, lock up in SWE. We haven't brought this up yet, but February 27th at the Carthage, Texas show, you're going to see the return of Lacey Von Erich to wrestling after a hiatus. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I'm not real sure exactly what Lacey's plans are. I don't know if she really wants to get back into competing. She did that for a while, and then she raised a family, and she's agreed to come to SWE. She says she has a reason to be there, I suspect that Miranda Gordy may have something to do with that, but I don't know if that's, I don't know if it's a friendly thing or what, but we've also got the daughter of Eddie Guerrero there. Shaw Guerrero will be there, and the daughter of Roddy Piper. It's a second generation thing coming up with us there, and on top of all of that, at the 27th show in Carthage, Terry Funk will be there. It's turning into a big deal.
How did you guys pull off Terry Funk? He hasn't made any wrestling appearances since I think 2017, and he's obviously one of the most beloved Texas wrestling legends, WWE Hall of Famer, former world champion. That is a great coup to pull that off.
Well, here's the thing that's excited me about what's happened with us in the last few months. Teddy Long came on with us. Kevin Sullivan came on with us. And now Terry Funk is coming to work with SWE. And all three of them came because they like what we're doing. They didn't come because we begged them to come. They didn't come because we just hired them to make an appearance. They came to be a part of what we're doing. And that's the same thing with Terry. Terry is excited about the kind of product that we're trying to present. He told Tom Lance that he's excited about the fact that somebody's actually presenting wrestling now, and he wants to be a part of it, and that's why Terry's coming to SWE. He's not just coming to make an appearance; he's coming to be a part of the SWE family, and it's exciting to me that guys like him, especially guys like Terry Funk, because being a Texas boy, I know what it means, that Funk name means. It's like the Von Erich name and the Guerrero name. All those names mean something here. And having Terry Funk decide that he wants to be a part of this SWE family is incredibly exciting to me. And it should be that way for fans, because he is absolutely a legend.
There's a fan on here, Gilbert E. Rodriguez, wants to know, I don't know if you were involved in the name of SWE, but he's wondering why you chose to call it Southwest Wrestling Entertainment if you're going for more of a wrestling promotion. Was there a particular reason for that?
Yeah, I can actually answer that. Tom Lance, who began SWE, Southwest Wrestling Entertainment. It actually was Southwest Wrestling and Entertainment. I've known Tom for over 30 years. He was promoting back in the World Class days, doing house shows and things back in those days. And Tom also produced music events, concerts. And that's where the entertainment part came from with the name. And it was already named that when we started. So it's just something that we've continued with. We don't really make a big deal out of it, but that's where the entertainment part came with SWE. So it really didn't have anything to do with the wrestling. It had to do more with the music part of it than anything else. But that's just a corporate name, and that's what we use. So I hope that explains it to wrestling fans that it's, we're not trying to be a WWE ripoff or AEW ripoff. With that name's been here a lot longer than that.
Yeah, Tom was telling me he started with Chris Adams, I believe, and
Correct.
Steve Austin even worked for him in the past, so he's been around forever. Have you been working with Tom through all of those decades?
Yeah, I probably worked with Tom back when he first started promoting wrestling shows. Now, I was working at the Sportatorium, and I was also working in Japan a lot of those years, so I was gone a lot. But yeah, I've known and worked with Tom from the beginning of his promotion, and he always ran great events. It kind of went dormant for a little while because the business wasn't very good, and the story, I guess, of us kind of kicking back up was almost like an accident. He was asked to do a fundraiser or a promoter fundraiser, and he called me and asked me if I'd book it for him. And we did that, and it was successful. And we decided to do another one. And he said, well, I think we'll just tape this one and see what it looks like. And we did that. And next thing we know, we're getting calls from people that want to put us on streaming and that kind of thing. And that's where it's grown from. So it was a dormant company for a little while, but it came back and came back to life, and it's doing that in a big way now.
The episode that aired tonight on my channel, last night on your channel, I believe that was show number 202. So that means, I guess, you're now over 200 television shows taped.
I'm not sure exactly what the count is right now, how they numbered that thing exactly, but I think the one that showed tonight, the one you're talking about, was filmed in San Antonio. I think that, I'm not sure if that's the one where the things got out of hand with Max and Moonshine, but it was filmed down there at the same place, and I really don't know what the total number of shows we have right now is, but I'm hopefully the count just keeps rolling in. We're determined to keep building and making it bigger and better and more exposed.
Mike Payne is saying he grew up in Dallas and he was at the Sportatorium every weekend, and he's saying you're bringing back the closest thing to real wrestling he's seen since World Class.
That's on purpose. It's my background. That's what I grew up in or around. And my biggest influences are obviously Texas wrestling and Japan wrestling. And I'm talking about the old style of Japan wrestling, not necessarily what you see on New Japan today. And that's where my influences come from, and that's what I believe in, and I believe that's a style and a product that people want to see. I think there's a fan base out there for that, and we're not trying to compete with what you see on Monday nights and whatever nights they're running, the WWE or AEW. We're trying to build our own fan base and go our own way, and I think by doing it this way, we'll eventually get to where we want to go. It seems to be catching on. I keep hearing it, all these years when I'd go out and do house shows with different people, and I'd work this style or have this style of wrestling, and so many people would come up and say, "Man, I sure do miss that. I miss that kind of wrestling." And I keep hearing it, and I'm trying to give it to them now. So you don't have to miss it anymore. You can watch SWE and get it.
Stephen Branding wants to know, is this just going to be a weekly television show, or is there plans to eventually have house shows or spot shows? Kind of hard to predict that with COVID right now. You don't really have the ability to really do that much outside of Texas and Florida with all the restrictions.
Yeah. The intent is to, of course, the weekly TV show will continue, but the intent is to also promote house shows as we go along. After this COVID thing is out of the way and we're able to draw houses like we feel like we can. It's really been a struggle. I've got to take my hats off to Tom Lance and Jason Jarrett and Randy Wright and Kevin Willard, who have stuck with this thing and sacrificed so much to keep us going in such a difficult time, because it's cost a lot of money. And like I said, we're not built on a billionaires foundation. We're working people, and we're building this one piece at a time. And these guys have gone out and a lot of sweat equity has gone into this thing also, and I've got to hand it to them, because it hasn't been easy, not by any means, under the atmosphere that we've been under, and the struggles of overcoming some of the negativity of other people, for different things, and it's difficult, but we're going to get there, and because these guys work so hard, because they've dedicated themselves to making this work, and allowed myself and Teddy and Kevin and now Terry to present this style the way we believe it. I think we have a chance to make some noise, and that's what we intend to do. And house shows will be a part of that.
There's a fan asking if SWE Fury has writers. You have matchmakers, right, and a general manager, and you are also aren't you overseeing officiating to make sure everything goes according to the rules set forth?
Correct. Yeah. One of the things that goes along with this style and with this format and this philosophy that I have and the rest of these guys have is that our brand of wrestling is going to have rules, and the referees are going to be important. They're going to be respected. Now, it's just a part of professional wrestling that some guys want to work around the rules and get around the rules, and some guys do. But you're not going to have to worry from one match to the next where the one rule means something in this match and it doesn't mean something in the next match. That's one of the most frustrating things I think fans see nowadays in a lot of the TV wrestling is that you can't trust it. You don't know what it's going to mean if a guy does one thing in this match and does it in another match, and there's no consequences for it. When in SWE, we're going to have rules, and you're going to know what they are. And the referees are going to attempt at least to enforce them as best they can, and the referees' decisions are going to be final, and that's a very important aspect of what we're trying to build. So, and that's something dear to my heart because of my background also. But it's I think it's an important aspect of wrestling that you have that, because without that, I mean, what does anything mean? If you don't have rules, then nothing means anything. And basically, that's what I see on TV a lot now. Is it's chaos. It has no foundation that you can go back to and say, well, this would mean something if this happened or that happened, or this didn't happen or that didn't happen. And with us, my goal is that fans can watch it and they can at least trust that part of it. They may not like all the outcomes, and they may not like all the decisions, and they may not like the fact that some guys get away with things, but at least they'll know that we're attempting to have a consistency in those rules and what they mean.
Jefferson E. White is asking if you were influenced at all by Playboy Gary Hart.
Highly. Gary was one of the guys I consider one of my mentors. I learned so much from that guy. I was very fortunate in working at the Sportatorium that I had two guys that were managers that were there for long periods of time, Gary Hart and Skandar Akbar. And I mean, of course, there were others. I mean, Percy Pringle was there for a while, and wonderful man that I loved dearly. But Ack and Gary were two very different styles of managing. Ack was more in your face, more vocal, more involved. I guess he would try to get involved in matches a lot of times. Gary was a lot more cerebral. He was a thinker. And I learned an awful lot working with both of those guys. And I appreciate both styles, and I learned a lot about wrestling from both of those guys, and it was really really an education to be around people like that in my learning process, and I carry that with me today. There's a lot of you'll see a lot of Gary Hart in what I do and what I influence, and that'll always be the case.
I've been getting a lot of questions about what's going on with the tag team division. The tag team titles are vacant. You have guys like Crimson and Jax Dane coming in. At one point, Rodney Mack had a tag team, but now he's the TV champion. But could you fill us in about what's going on with the tag title situation in SWE?
Yeah, our intent, and I was hoping that we could get this started probably in the next month or two, but we intend to have a big tournament, and probably even bring some tag teams in from other areas to compete in that, and crown a new tag team champion. my intent, this is one of those goals that I have, is to create a tag team division that's consistent. It's hard to do because there's not a lot of tag teams out there that are really tag teams. They just throw two guys together nowadays and call it that. But there's some, and some from some that I know very well out there that I hope to have in SWE Fury at some point. And hopefully when we get this tournament cranked up, that some of those guys will be coming in here, and that'll spur some other people to want to develop more tag teams and that are consistent and work together, and you can associate them together the way that you used to with, like the Rock and Roll Express or the Midnight Express or the Road Warriors or the Assassins, all those old great tag teams. They were always together, and I'd like to see that happen again. It's a process. If I had a perfect world right now and all the money in the world, I could probably make it all happen right now. But it's something that we've got to have a little patience with, and we got to build. But we intend to do that. Now, the tag team division is a very important goal for me.
Now, you've been talking about how important the women's division is and all the great women's wrestlers you have right now. Any consideration of bringing more women's titles to the company since there's such a big focus on them?
As a matter of fact, we intend to introduce a women's TV title. I'm not sure if it'll be done in Carthage or not, but it's going to be getting close to that. We're getting ready to figure out, who we're going to have compete for that. We may end up having a little tournament for that. I'm not sure. We're talking about it, but yes, there will be another women's title, and at some point, I'd even like to have a women's tag title. And it's hard to get all this stuff in one TV program, but we're trying to do that, and we're trying to make it so that you don't see the same things every week. Also, that's important. And in all having these different things going on, I think that we were able to do that. You'll be able to see our main people, on TV, but it's like our major title, like our heavyweight title. I don't think it's right to see it defended every week. I think it should be something special, so people have to work to get there. And I want to have our champion on TV, but I don't think he needs to defend the title every week. So we're going to try to have enough things going on that keeps people interested from week to week, and not have to see the same old people wrestle the same old people like you do in some TV programs I see.
Now, Jazz is the director of women's talent for the company. Did you go out and recruit her to take care of that, or were you just working with her and it kind of happened naturally?
Well, Jazz was getting to the point that she was about ready to retire. In fact, she's doing a kind of a retirement tour right now. Everybody gets to that point at some point. I'm there, with refereeing. I'm not saying I'll never get back in the ring again, but Akbar told me one time that you can't retire from professional wrestling. You either die or quit getting booked. So, I'm not dead yet. Then hopefully if I keep this job, I keep booking myself. So I'll have something to do. But Jazz was ready to stop competing. And she's the perfect person to run our division. She's trains people. She's a great trainer. She and Rodney Mack are two of the best trainers in the business. And she's a person that I've known since the very first time she stepped into a wrestling ring. In fact, I refereed her very first matches. And somebody that I trust, somebody I consider like family to me. And I know that she can take care of these girls in a way and speak to them in a way that I could never do. And I think having that voice there is a smart thing for SWE Fury, because we've got somebody that can relate to what they're going through, and somebody who's succeeded, being a WWE and WWF women's champion, being an NWA world champion. Jazz has been there and done that. And she understands what they're going through, and she understands the struggles and the differences between competing as a woman and dealing in this business as a woman and what we have to do as a man. There's just no way I could ever 100% relate to that. And I think she's a perfect person to handle our women's division, and she's doing a great job of it. I love Jazz. She's like I said, she's like family to me, and I trust her with my life, and I trust her with this role, and she's gonna be perfect for us in doing that.
And you have a great champion right now, Christy Janes. That match hasn't aired yet. That will probably air, I would assume, maybe in February on your SWE Fury television show. Rodney Mack is also the TV champion now in a match that hasn't aired yet. What do you think about Rodney Mack now? He might be having a resurgence of his career after WWE. Now he seems to becoming more popular again.
You know, I was watching a couple of his WWE matches just today, and it strikes me that he may be in better shape now than he was then. I mean, he's working hard, and as far as his ability in the ring goes, I mean, there's no question about that. And his toughness, there's nobody tougher than Rodney Mack. He's another guy that, just like Jazz, I was in the ring with him the first time he stepped in there. And I've known him all these years, and he's another guy that I consider like family to me. So I've got a lot of people around that I really have a long relationship with, and that I count on to be at the top of their game. And Rodney is at the top of his game right now. I don't think anybody's any tougher than Rodney Mack. I mean, you just watch him. He's a beast. And he can compete with anybody. And by the way, just while I'm thinking about this, you mentioned that some of these haven't shown yet. Our goal at some point is getting to a point to where the things that you see on TV are the things that we take maybe a week before. So right now, because of the COVID situation and because of economics, basically, and the necessity of doing things the way we're doing them, we're having to take further back and then showing things that have happened, further back. And I'm hoping that at some point after this COVID thing gets by us and we can maybe start loosening things up a little bit, that we get to a point to where what you see is a little bit more current with what's happening with SWE, and that's my goal too. I've got a lot of goals there, but we're working on them, and then you can't have them overnight, but we're trying to get there.
Now you also have an SWE Fury app which people can download. Could you tell us a little bit about the app?
That's another exciting thing that's going on. I'm a social media and tech idiot. I can't do all this stuff, but thank goodness we've got people like Randy Klein and people who are out there that understand the necessity and the way to develop these things that keep us kind of in line with the way things are going, in technology, and the app is one of those things. We're really excited about all the things we'll be able to do with that at some point. It's just now started. We've got it open. Basically now you get some news, and you get some pictures and some outlines of some of the people's backgrounds and that kind of thing, but biographies and that sort of thing. But we're hoping at some point it becomes interactive, and you can actually have being involved with wrestling games and watch some of our programming on there, and to get some special features. We intend to tape some things that will be almost exclusively on the app. We're going to start on this next taping. There'll be like a round table with myself and Kevin and Teddy and some special guests coming on here and there, that you'll only be able to see the whole thing on the app. So there's a lot of and it'll be kind of an insider thing where we're not like we're doing now, but more like we'll be sitting around telling some stories or talking about some of our experiences and letting people kind of be on the inside of our history and how how we have come up in the wrestling business and experienced things in the wrestling business, and like I said, we'll have some special guests involved with that too that come on and do that, and I'm sure Terry will probably be involved in that also. But that's another exciting thing about the app is we'll be able to do things like that and put it on the app, and people can go to the app and see that and get a little bit more in depth look at what's behind the scenes with SWE and the people.
Yeah, and Tom was just mentioning to me as you were saying that in a text message that the fans will be able to ask roundtable questions as part of the app. So that's
yeah. That's another thing we intend to do is to have questions answered. Where fans can write in and we'll take the questions and try to answer them the best we can. So it's exciting to be able to do those kinds of things. It goes beyond just the competition in the ring and I'm really stoked that we're able to do that with SWE and that we've got people that are capable of doing that because, man, I tell you, I'm a wrestling guy. That's all I know. And if it were left up to me, that's all I could do. So I'm really happy that we've got people that are involved with us that can get in there and do those kinds of things and keep us progressing with it. Keep adding things to it so that it doesn't become stale and fans can get a little bit more out of it than just watching the TV show.
And Tom is also asking me if you could talk a little bit about the upcoming match with former ECW champion Justin Credible being challenged by the Blood Hunter, who's now managed by Selena De Laurenta in SWE.
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, these people are coming in like crazy. Blood Hunter was with us earlier, and he's a brutal character. I don't know that much about his background, but he's another one of those guys that gets in there and fights and then beats people up, and they beat 3 people up at the last time I saw him, and Justin Credible, who is a guy I've known a long time, ECW champion. He's been around a while, and he I don't know what got under his craw about Blood Hunter, but for some reason he's after him, and we're going to see what happens when he shows up. So, I'm excited about this. We've got so many guys that want to come in and compete, and they're not not their everyday vanilla flavored type characters that you're seeing on a lot of TV now. There's all kinds of stuff. Blood Hunter's a big guy. I mean, I would guess 280, 290, something like that. Justin wants to crawl on him. He may want to crawl off pretty fast, but we'll see what happens.
Speaking of big guys, you have Mark Henry coming to, I believe, both the Dallas area show as well as the Carthage show coming up. So you also are bringing in WWE legends like him and Boogeyman and Melina.
Yeah, it's exciting that these people want to be a part of what we're doing, and they genuinely do. It's not, you see a lot of guys that come in and just make appearances, sign a few autographs, take a few pictures, and that's all you see of them. Guys like Mark is kind of like Teddy. Teddy called us and wanted to come in, and he's become a big part of our operation and my partner really. And same thing with Kevin Sullivan and Mark Henry is he's excited about being part of SWE and coming in, and he's going to help with the. We always have a training camp before our TV tapings. And he's going to help with that. He's going to take part in that. It's not like he's just coming in to look pretty. I shouldn't say that about Mark, but and he's an impressive guy. I met him at Cauliflower Alley a couple of years ago. What an incredible guy, man! Not only an awesome athlete, strongest man in the world, gold medal winner. He's just such a wonderful guy, and fans are going to love being around him, I tell you, and we're excited about having him being involved with us whenever he can.
Gabrielle Dean wants to know, where do you see SWE in the next 5 years?
The East, there's several outlets for SWE. Of course, we're on Fight TV. we've got we've got our own our YouTube channel now, so you can go in there and they're adding episodes every week. So you can go on YouTube and just subscribe to the channel. Now, there's no cost to that. Eventually, like I said, we'll have the app, and that's going to be more current things, I think. But and there's we're on Action Now TV, which is, it's got I don't know how many 30-something different TV stations that in different parts of the country that we're in, and we keep adding some more. We added one in Kentucky just this last week, Bowling Green, I believe it was. And and I know that I've been hearing that we're in the process of adding some more local type stations, and we're on Dallas Channel 33. That's our local one, and we're hoping that we can get them to give us a little bit better time slot here pretty soon. So we're expanding the TV market, and that's something that we think is important. So have that exposure out there for people, but. You can find us. It's very easy to get us on YouTube or on Fight TV.
Bryce Bordeaux, I think I'm mispronouncing his last name, but
Boudreaux.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
There I go. I must ask you about your country music career.
Oh man, Bryce. I've known Bryce a little while now. He is our new ring announcer, and he does a wonderful job. I actually met Bryce back in Louisiana, which is, by his name you can tell that's where he's from. He's one of those Cajun boys. But I met him down there, and I don't even know how it all came up and all. But yeah, I got into the business through music. I was playing music, and got to know a lot of the guys, and they eventually drugged me into the wrestling business, and I had a lot of stuff that I had recorded from my old band, and I put some on CDs, and I gave Bryce a couple of them, so evidently he liked them enough that he's pushed it a little bit. But music was a very important part of my life, and it still is for that matter, and it's something that I did for several years before I got into wrestling, and worked fairly high level there with open for a lot of big acts, and I'm very proud of that part of my life, and something that I'll always hold dear, and something that I'll probably continue to do until I can't croak anymore.
So maybe we'll see you perform the national anthem one of these days.
Well, I don't know about that. We may do that at some point. Yeah, I'd feel a lot more comfortable doing a country song, but we'll see what happens.
Maybe an intermission performance then, or something. Who knows?
Friends in Low Places or something like that. That might work.
That would be a good one. Chris is wondering if you still speak with Mark Lawrence and Bill Mercer.
I haven't seen Bill in a long time. I've seen Mark here and there once in a while. I just found out last week that I'm going to be doing a panel at WrestleCade in July in North Carolina, and Mark will be a part of that. So I'm looking forward to seeing him there. Mark is a minister at a Methodist church, and he stays busy with that, but he loves wrestling. And he's a good friend, and one of the most underrated television announcers, I think. He's just not. People don't give him the credit that he deserves. He's incredible. He called the matches the way they were. I mean, he didn't put himself over. He put the matches over. He put the wrestlers over, and he did it the way it's supposed to be done. So, Mark Lawrence has a great deal of respect right there for me. He's a great guy, and it's always great to see him whenever I get a chance to.
Tom was mentioning to me you have a great Elvis. Can you do an Elvis?
Well, it's kind of funny. I when I was doing music, we would do some Elvis songs like a lot of people would do, and somehow some of them come out sounding kind of like him. I don't think it sounds exactly like him, but I never tried to be an Elvis impersonator or anything. But yeah, sometimes I do things that and especially his songs, just kind of influenced that way. But yeah, some of them do kind of come out that way, and I get a lot of comments about it. But Elvis was the king. You can't go wrong when you're anywhere compared to that.
As far as the book that you wrote, if people want to find that book to know more about you, where can they pick it up? And could you tell us a little bit about what made you write the book in the first place?
I was doing some. A friend of mine had a internet site that he asked me to write some stories. Mostly at that time, most of them were about the global wrestling and a little bit about world class and so I was writing a few stories there and it expanded to do a few other things. I got into some other topics and things, but it was kind of like I think like a monthly thing I was doing. And people started asking me if I might put it into a book form, and I just never thought that anybody'd want to read a book by me. I never considered myself a star or anything, not something that I thought would sell. So I just kind of slept it off. And eventually, actually Dutch Mantell kind of talked me into going ahead and writing the book. Mark James was his publisher, and Mark had published a couple of Dutch's books, and Dutch had read some of my stories, and he involved in a couple of them. And he said, well, you really ought to do that. You ought to put it together. I think it'd be good. And I thought, well, okay. Well, it took me a while, but I finally got it together. And it's really more about the guys that I was associated with in the Texas area. This book was. I ended up writing about 600 pages, but there's only about 300 in the book. So I've still got a second book out there somewhere if I finish it up. But it's mostly about the guys that I work with in the Texas area. The Von Erichs, the Freebirds, Chris Adams, Gino Hernandez, and some of the other guys like John Layfield, who was a guy that I was associated with a lot, and all those characters, and then I threw a few little stories and things in there to kind of supplement all those experiences. And there's one chapter in there that's strictly about refereeing and how I feel about refereeing and my philosophy, and a chapter in there that describes the sportatorium. We get a lot of questions about that, about what that old building was really like, and I wrote a chapter in there about that. And when I wrote it, I didn't realize I was going to be this much involved in wrestling again. But I think I've got a sequel coming that maybe I can catch up on a few things with. And by the way, you can get it on Amazon.
Yes, I found it and I put it up on the screen. Actually, I'll put it up again if people want to look. The Third Man, My Life and Times Inside the Ring. And as you mentioned, you actually helped JBL get his break, so that would be interesting to read about for sure.
Yeah, John is still a good friend. I hear from him pretty regularly, and we don't get to see each other as much now. He's living up there in close to Washington D.C. I don't know how he stands it, but he does, and he's he's involved in a lot of charity work and that sort of thing, which is incredible, the things that he's done to help people in the last few years. He worked with a lot of underprivileged kids, and I'm really proud of all the things that he's done and accomplished, and not only in wrestling but after wrestling. And he's a good friend. I mean, we're still tight. I wish I miss him. I wish we could see each other more often. But he's a guy that a lot of people don't really know well. But all they know is that character, and I know what's behind that character, and it's a hell of a man. He really is. I knew his family well. I know him well, and I'm very proud of John and all he's accomplished.
Bryce Boudreau puts up another good point here. Andrew Anderson broke Action Jackson's arm at the last taping, which hasn't aired yet. But is Andrew going to face any repercussions? I guess we may have to wait and see.
Well, he hasn't been disciplined by SWE. it's hard to. I guess we disciplined everybody who hurt somebody. We'd everybody be at home, but yeah, that's one of those matches that got a little bit brutal, and unfortunately, Action has a bad arm now. I'm not sure if it was broken or I'm not really sure what the result was medically. I know it was hurt pretty bad, and I'm not sure what the condition is right now. I've been told that he is planning on being at the taping on February 6th. So I'm sure if he's there and Andrew is there, that we'll probably get some answers one way or the other. It's one of those interesting things. Action's been around a long time. He's a Texas favorite. I've known him back in the world class days, way back. And, he's a Texas boy, and Andrew's a New Jersey guy, and one of those loud mouths. He likes to talk a lot, he thinks that he's more of a legend than Action is. And I guess we'll find out before this is all over with.
Mike is asking if Iceman King Parson would ever be an SWE in the future, whether it's autograph or something else.
I could see that happening. Ice was a good friend. I worked with Ice more times than I could ever count. He's headbutted me a few times, but yeah, I've known Ice a long, long time, and good guy, good friend. And I can see that maybe at some point that he would want to come in and at least make an appearance here. I'm sure that his wrestling days are pretty much over, but he's a guy that's a legend in Texas too. When the world class promotion was going full blast with the Von Erichs and the Freebirds, a lot of people forget that guys like Chris Adams and Iceman King Parsons were right there, almost as popular as any of those guys were, and they really helped carry the promotion. And Ice was a big part of that. So, I'd love to see him, and at some point, maybe we can get him to show up.
Gilbert is bringing up Harry Smith. Is he ever going to compete for SWE? He's actually going to be at the February 27th event in Carthage, Texas. Davey Boy Smith Jr., that is.
My understanding is that Davey Boy Smith Jr. is coming there, and he has something in particular in mind. I haven't been told what that is, and maybe somebody in mind. So I take that to mean that he intends to get in the ring. There's another guy, I knew his dad, or worked with his dad over in Japan, and I've worked with Harry, or Davey Boy Jr., several times as well. So he's a great competitor. He's a tough dude, man. I mean, he's gotten into a lot of MMA training, and he's really into the health thing, and keeps himself in tip-top condition. And the rumor is, I haven't actually talked to him myself about this. I haven't seen him in, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. But the last time I saw him, we didn't even talk about SWE. But my understanding is, through the grapevine, is that he has something in particular in mind. And I guess we'll see when he gets here what that is.
There's a few fans asking where can they watch SWE Fury. They could go to swefury.com and find out, but I have the graphic here I can put up.
Cool.
I know you've added some towns like Bowling Green since you guys made this graphic, but this says some of the towns that you guys are on TV, or you can watch it on the SWE Fury YouTube channel, or now it's also on the Hannibal TV on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. and every Tuesday at 9. We're going to do a podcast after, and Mondays the new episode is going to drop on SWE's channel. And I understand from Tom, as we do more of these, there's going to be some giveaways to fans as well. He's
great.
Maybe an autographed copy of your book, maybe some T-shirts.
We can definitely do that. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and that's something we haven't talked about that, but my understanding is this is going to be a regular feature, and we're going to, like you said, I think have some guests come on here as well. So you won't just have to listen to me talk all the time, but this is something that we plan to continue every week, if I understand right.
Yes, and Tom was actually, he's been messaging me as we're doing this, and he said next week he's going to try and get either Teddy Long or Jazz to come on with us. So I think the fans would appreciate that. But as these shows air on this channel now, as well as SWE, the fans that haven't been able to watch the TV show will, I'm sure, have more questions for you about what's actually going on in SWE.
Yeah, and I'll encourage people, if they have questions, to send them in. I don't know if you have a way for them to send them to you, but we can, if you've got questions and we can do it that way, then I'm willing to talk about anything SWE related or wrestling related, for that matter. It doesn't have to be, but mainly the main topic is SWE, but I understand that there's wrestling fans out there that go back a lot further than that and want to talk about other things, and that's fine too. But yeah, I'm willing to try to answer any questions I can, and our guests, I'm sure, would do the same thing.
Somebody had a question earlier, and this will be my last question for you. They were wondering what was the wildest thing you ever saw when you were refereeing for World Class Championship Wrestling?
Oh my goodness. The wildest thing. When you've been in the ring with guys like Bruiser Brody or Abdullah the Butcher, everything goes downhill after that. I did I don't remember if it was World Class or Global, but it was I did a Falls Count Anywhere match one night with, well, it must have been Global, because John Layfield was involved in it. He and Black Bart against the Renegade Warriors, which are Mark and Chris Youngblood, Ricky Romero's sons. And that was one of the bloodiest, craziest matches I've ever been involved in. It went all over the sportatorium. It was brutal. It was horrifying almost. And by the time it was all over with, we were all totally exhausted. So, if you're just counting what happened at the sportatorium, that's probably the one that comes to mind first. There's been a lot of great experiences in that old building, and it's hard to rate them one through whatever, but it was a wonderful life to be able to be a part of that experience in the sportatorium and all those guys, and it didn't get any better than that.
And as we wrap up here, Tom wanted me to bring up that Road Warrior Animal's son-in-law has joined the company as well. If you could mention that. Yeah,
Jaden Lee will be at Sweetheart's Brawl on the 6th, and I'm sure he'll be there on the 27th as well. He's coming in. He's a very athletic, good-looking guy. I think he's got some potential to make some noise in SWE. I've only seen him wrestle a couple of times, but he was very impressive when I saw him, and I'm looking forward to Jaden being a part of our family here and competing and seeing how far he can go in SWE Fury.
And I'll put up the poster for the 6th now so the fans can see. If you live in the Dallas or Irving area, you don't want to miss this event. And Teal Piper, Roddy Piper's daughter, has been added since then. This Miranda Alize, I think her last name is going to be there. Tim Storm, the champion, Amber Nova, all of the great stars, including Charlie Haas. So that's pretty exciting. And the last thing I'll bring up here, I did that interview with Charlie Haas at the last taping, and he's in better shape than ever. He's just lost some weight since his WWE days, but some of the fans were a little confused on that. But you've been watching him for months now, and what would you say about it, the form that he's in these days?
Look, I've known Charlie a long time, and I've worked with him over the last several years in different places. I've done some seminars with him, clinics with him. Charlie has lost a lot of weight, but he did that on purpose. He started training his kids. He got two sons. In fact, one of them won a national title just a week or so ago. Talked to him about a week ago, and they were competing up in Oklahoma for some other big organization that both of his sons, and they're both like, I don't know how old Russ. They're, I don't know, 10 years old. Anyway, he'd been training those guys. He'd been working with the kids at the schools, and he got into really lean shape. I heard some people talking about something wrong. There's not anything wrong with him at all. He's probably in better shape than he's ever been. And he's as intense as anybody I've ever seen in the ring. I mean, this guy is, I'd almost, or even as a referee, I'd almost be afraid to be in the ring with him. He's just that intense, and we're friends, So it would be, he's a beast. I'm telling you, he may have lost weight, and he may be lean, but don't underestimate Charlie Haas by any means. You know his amateur background. You know what he's like. He's just that tough, man.
And he is on the most recent SWE Fury TV show that just dropped on this channel, and is also on the SWE Fury channel if anyone wants to see him in action. But thank you for doing this, Mr. Beard. I really appreciate it. And I'll let you close this off with however you want to close this off. So next week we'll be back, fans, on Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, on the SWE Fury YouTube channel and the Hannibal TV. So make sure you subscribe to both.
Well, first of all, I can't tell you how much we appreciate your involvement and your support and for SWE Fury. This means a lot to us, and we know that you're doing it because you believe in what we're doing also, and that even means more. So it's a win-win thing for us. And secondly, I just want to encourage people to watch and give SWE Fury a chance, because, like I said, we're a different breed of cat. We're not the same old thing that you're watching on television right now. And we intend to be that way from now on. We're going to make our own path. And I'm determined that we're going to make a difference. And we appreciate the fans that have supported us so far. I appreciate all the talent that's out there competing. And we're just beginning, man. We're just beginning. And I'm excited about this new endeavor, the Inside SWE Fury. It's fun to talk about too.